what are the 8 stages of spiritual awakening. We all talk of spiritual awakening, but what is spiritual awakening? Spiritual awakening is that state of enlightenment, it's that state of realization, it's that state of liberation and the unification with the divine. But how? How does one get to that point of spiritual awakening? The first stage of spiritual awakening is Mumukshu. Mumukshu means you are yearning. You are yearning for the divine. You are yearning for liberation, for realization, for enlightenment. There must be that deep yearning. Unless there is the deep yearning, nothing happens. So the people who are just talking of enlightenment, people who are just wanting it, won't ever get there. There must be such a deep yearning that it is called the triple yearning. What is this triple yearning of mumukshutva? The triple yearning is the yearning that a miser has for gold, the yearning that a lover has for the beloved, the yearning that a child has for its mother whom it has lost. Can you understand that deep yearning? The deep yearning is called Mumukshu. You become a Mumukshu when you have this deep yearning called Mumukshutva. But Mumukshutva is just the first stage of spiritual awakening. Therefore, if you want to know if you are on that path of enlightenment, do you have that deep yearning for enlightenment? If you have, then you will go from the first stage of Mumukshu to the second stage of Jigyasu. What is this stage of Jigyasu? The stage of Jigyasu is a stage of seeking. Seeking is the second stage. The first stage is yearning. The second stage is seeking. What is the difference? In the first stage, there is so much passion. There's such an obsession for enlightenment, for awakening. But you haven't really started. It's within you. When a mumukshu takes his yearning forward, he goes on a quest. He goes on a talash. He goes on a search. What is this search all about? He asks questions. Who am I? Who am I? Where did I come from? Where will I go? What happens after death? Who decided my birth? Am I this body? Am I the mind? Am I the ego? Am I the soul? What is the soul? Where does the soul come from? Where does the soul go? Who is God? Where is God? What is God? Does God live in heaven? The Jigyasu asks questions. He doesn't just let his yearning remain a yearning. He goes on this journey to ask, to investigate, to realize the truth. The Jigyasu wants to know, is rebirth a reality? Who is reborn? The body dies. What happens to the mind? Oh, where is the mind? Have you ever seen the mind? The Jigyasu asks questions. He doesn't follow the herd. He flies like a bird. He explores. He overcomes his ignorance. He doesn't continue to live with the myth he has grown up with. That is the stage of Jigyasu. That is the second stage of spiritual awakening. The second stage of spiritual awakening is not just yearning. It is yearning or mumukshutva and then seeking or being a Jigyasu. What happens after you complete the 2 stages of spiritual awakening? After you complete the stage of yearning or mumukshutva and seeking or Jigyasu, you go to the 3rd stage of spiritual awakening. That is a stage called Jnani. You become a Jnani. You become a Jnani because you have knowledge. Not just knowledge that you can get in a college. But a jnani has wisdom. Wisdom that comes from the deep seeking. Wisdom that comes from a talash. Wisdom that comes from the help of a guru or a spiritual master. The Mumukshu or the Jigyasu becomes a jnani only because he has the wisdom. He overcomes ignorance. He realizes the truth. In this stage where one passes mumukshutva, passes jigyas, and one becomes a jnani, one no more lives by the mind. One learns to flip over from mind to intellect. How? Because one flips over from mind to consciousness. In a state of mind, thoughts pour like rain. Thoughts pour like rain and they push us down the drain. And we live with ignorance again and again. Therefore, when we are in this third stage called jnani, we live in consciousness. We tame the monkey mind. We make it into a monk. We cut the junk. We live in that state of intellectual consciousness. In that state, we realize several truths. I am not this body. This body was developed over 9 months. I was not born on my birthday. My birthday is fake. I will not cut a cake because the jnani is awake. The jnani is awake. The jnani has reached that stage of wisdom. He is no more ignorant. He doesn't believe in the lies that God lives in the skies. The jnani has realized several truths. This is the third stage of spiritual awakening. Mumukshu, Jigyasu, and Jnani. But then you go to the fourth stage of spiritual awakening. The Mumukshu, who is a Jigyasu and who becomes a Jnani, he becomes a yogi. He becomes a yogi. In this stage, the fourth stage of spiritual awakening, the yogi lives in yoga. Yoga is not just physical exercise or breathing techniques. Yoga means yuj. Yuj is living in union with the divine. The opposite of yoga is bhoga. If you are not in yoga, then you fall into bhoga. You fall into the desires of this material world. You are raptured by the sensory pleasures of the five senses. You are a prisoner of the mind. But a mumukshu, who becomes a jigyasu, who then becomes a jnani, evolves to the fourth stage of being a yogi. In that state of yoga, in that state of union, his realizations evolve. He transcends the body, mind and ego. He is united with the divine. And then he evolves to the fifth state of spiritual awakening. He becomes Buddh. Buddh means the awakened one. Buddha means the enlightened one. It is the fifth stage of spiritual awakening. After being a mumukshu and a jigyasu, one becomes a yogi, one becomes a jnani, one reaches the state of Buddha. You are awakened, you are enlightened. That spark of truth, that light within glows. There is no darkness of ignorance. You can see the clear picture. I am not I. The ego is a false identity. The mind doesn't exist. This body is nothing but molecules of cells, which are nothing but energy. I am the soul, I am the spark of unique life. I am a manifestation of the divine. I am Buddha. I am awakened. I am enlightened. Many people think being Buddha, the fifth stage of enlightenment, is the ultimate stage. It is not. When you become a Buddha, you have to go to the sixth stage of spiritual awakening. It is called Sthit Pragya. Sthit Pragya is that stage where you live with a steady intellect. You don't shuttle between the mind and consciousness. You don't shuttle between mind and intellect. You transcend the mind and the ego. You reach that state of consciousness. In that state of consciousness, the intellect is awakened. The mind is locked. And you are steady in your intellectual consciousness. Therefore, you have reached the sixth stage. You have become a sthit pragya. The Mumukshu becomes a jigyasu, becomes a jnani, becomes a yogi, becomes a buddha, becomes a sthit pragya. And then he goes to the seventh stage of a jivan mukta, a liberated soul, the one who is alive but is liberated, is free. Mukta, mukti means you are free when you are in jivan, when you are alive. This is the seventh, the penultimate stage. The one stage before the ultimate eighth stage of spiritual awakening. A Jivan Mukta is free from the triple suffering of body, mind and ego. A Jivan Mukta is free from ignorance. A Jivan Mukta is free from this world. A Jivan Mukta is free from the Maya, the illusion. A Jivan Mukta is free of this Leela. A Jivan Mukta lives a life of freedom. A Jivan Mukta lives a life of complete surrender, of acceptance. He accepts without protest and he surrenders in consciousness. A Jivan Mukta is free from this world, its attachments. He is a detached, liberated soul. A Jivan Mukta has been enlightened with the truth, but he has just one more step to climb. The eighth stage of spiritual awakening is becoming a Satchitananda Atman, becoming a soul who lives in the bliss of truth consciousness. Can you be in that state of truth consciousness all the time? Can you enjoy that bliss? Can you be in that ananda? Can you be liberated from the miseries of this earth? And can you be liberated from the cycle of death and rebirth? The eighth stage of spiritual awakening, Satchitananda Atma, will lead to the ultimate goal of moksha, nirvana, liberation and unification in the moment of death. But that we don't have any control on. We have control of these 8 stages. We have control on being a Mumukshu, a Jigyasu, a Jnani, a Yogi, a Buddha, a Sthit Pragya, a Jivan Mukta, a Satchitananda Atma. We have the control on climbing these 8 steps to reach that destination called Satchitananda Atma, where you are living as a liberated soul. You are living in bliss. You are living in truth consciousness. There is no misery, there is no stress, there is no fear, there is no worry. There is no depression. There is peace and bliss. You are peaceful and blissful and cheerful because you are in that state of ultimate happiness called Ananda, called Satchit Anand. Are you going to reach that state of Satchitananda Atma? Then you have reached the ultimate stage of spiritual awakening, the 8th and final stage. Then you live a life of complete surrender and acceptance. Become a divine instrument. You become a divine instrument doing the will of the divine. You know I am nothing because you become everything. You become Sip, the supreme immortal power. You live not just as a soul, a spark of unique life that you are, that you realize, but as a Buddha who is awakened, as a Sthit Pragya who is intellectually stable, as a Jivan Mukta, as a liberated soul. You cross over to Satchitananda Atma. You cross over to that state of truth consciousness. You live in that bliss till that moment where you lose your breath, where people call death, and you become one with the divine. Climb these 8 steps, reach the 8th stage of spiritual awakening, and you have attained the goal of life.